start recording until.
That's been the story, but they didn't know if it was good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 26 years I've running this two days.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. We will call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome. Thank you, everybody. If the clerk could call the roll.
Trustee Pappy,
Here.
trustee Hoff,
Here.
trustee Begley,
Here.
president Gerke,
Present.
trustee Dorwart,
Here,
trustee Bartz. Here. Trustee Meyer.
Right, seeing as though we have a quorum, we will continue. Next, we have public comments. Again, anything that's not on the agenda is limited to 5 minutes per person. All right, seeing none, we will move on. Next, we have a consent agenda. The minutes, general fund and Class B temporary retailers license for Divine Savior.
make a motion for approved consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so next we have report on village committees. Give me 1 second. The planning commission is first. I will take that as soon as I can find the notes. All right. We met on September 11th, and the main reason we were there is for the public hearing and then the possible amendment to the zoning code, talking about accessory structures. We did hear a couple of people talk about it, and there were no concerns. We did have a letter or two in support, so the planning commission did end up sending that to the full board for consideration and with their recommendation to approve. Any questions? All right, we'll move on then to the Parks and Rec Committee.
All right, so we met on Wednesday, September 6th, and it was a quick meeting. We talked about the movie in the park, which was the Super Mario Brothers movie, and it had a great turnout. We had 120 people-ish, something like that. It was great. The Ozaki Warrior Softball Association sold concessions, and they did a great night. He pulled me aside afterwards and said he'd be interested in continuing concessions like that if we continue doing movies and doing through the winter, things like that. So it was really good for them. Raffled off a bunch of prizes and gift cards and things like that. So people really enjoyed it. The winner of the 50-50 raffle actually donated the money back to the Parks Department so that we can put that money towards the basketball courts, which was really amazing. So it was good. Looking forward to planning future movies. The next thing we talked about was the comprehensive open space parks plan. This is kind of in preliminary, needs to be updated. I think Administrator Jenkins said every 5 years it needs to be updated. So we're in the preliminary process of getting that updated. That'll also help with getting grants and things like that for the splash pad. So a preliminary process on that. Future items that we talked about, we're working towards planning the holiday tree lighting in the park for after Thanksgiving. And then the next one that we're looking forward to is putting together a winter walk at Marie Krause, like January, February timeframe. So super excited about that. So we've got a meeting coming up here in the next few weeks that will continue planning and we'll keep going from there.
All right, any questions of Chairman Bartz?
That could be a snowshoe one.
If there's snow, maybe.
Good.
All right,
That could figure it.
excellent. Well, I'm gonna have you roll with the 150th anniversary celebration subcommittee as well.
Sounds good. So again, we met with the subcommittee members. It was a good meeting. We kind of put into place some of the things that we're working towards, starting to get estimates and start thinking about bands, food, things like that. Talked a lot about all the different items that we want to do for that day. similar to what we did 2 years ago, but hopefully bigger and better. Talked to the fire department and they're possibly interested in joining forces and doing something again with us this next year. So we're really looking forward to that. We also have another meeting coming up on that here at the beginning of October, so stay tuned for more details.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Any questions? All right, we're gonna move on then to report on operations of the village. First is village president. I have a couple of things. Number one, we did receive some preliminary numbers back for the splash pad. We are looking through those and kind of deciding and seeing what we can and can't do in-house. And then as soon as we have more information on that, we will share that with everybody else and see what we need to do for fundraising on that. And then just kind of another thing that happened today is paving is now completed on North Milwaukee Street and Glendale up on the north side of town. So you guys won't have to plow gravel anymore when the snow goes on the road. So that'll be fun. So that's looking good, and hopefully we can get some more development now with those lots being there. I know that we've been actively marketing those now, at least on our Facebook page. That happened a couple days ago. And yeah, see what happens. Hopefully get some new homes and some more activity up there. That's all I have. Now we will move on to the village administrator.
For a long-term problem with that, estimate that progress, as the president said, that couple falls now, did progress, but some of the members the best ways to market properties, other photos, aerial shots, things like that, they can get from us, help incentivize the purchasing, and we can work with that. We have an open house for our developers who have super great partnership with so all of the developers with the TIG have been notified a house meeting where they look at their engineering plans, rating, make sure that their construction plans and rating plans and we'll also have more serious about the timeline for the set expectations and for the one to go alongside us next year will be. The 2024 grant budget is completed and we with Turkey, Trevor, obviously, finance your costs. We have finance meeting set next week. We'll look at that in detail. After their recommendation, that'll come before the village board in the first meeting next month. And then the budget requirements will also wait a month before feedback before you can start to file the board. Of course, the big question for that process is we've been working on SB grant funding. So again, I met with Alex Valley, who's the previous contact with Racine County on grant opportunities that we have. There's been around grant application for Portsmouth Martin that he's currently reviewing. And after this feedback, we'll be submitting that in state. So yeah, as always, press your fingers, we can get some grant money going. ADI Systems has aimed to check out a room for a night setup. This is a recommendation from the previous tech committee to have us look at items. So we've done that and given us quotes. I share that with the trustee Beckman to get his feedback. It's pretty reasonable to get done. So this year, it's hopefully getting them next year to get all of this cleaned up with the needs. And finally, as we touched on these 5 designs in final stages, we get feedback from the Parks Committee. We hope to get that finalized at the next Parks meeting. And then CRS will discuss get our marketing materials. So for example, we'll have some big posters here at Village Hall, a whole thermometer to raise money and that kind of thing. Yeah, we have a lot of ideas, a lot of good stuff, but we can't do that. We actually have the plans in place so we can do CRS for that. And those items we'll be talking about later in this meeting. So that's on it.
All right, and any questions of the administrator? His report. All right, we'll move on to the village marshal.
I have a comment on the report that you have. If you notice that we finally started getting some revenue from the arrangements to the court, that's not uncommon that it's happened since late in the year. Typically, our payment to the court was generated by the patient. They paid themselves for it. So once we accomplish that, then the village started to gain some revenue. I would imagine that that's somewhere Like made like last year, so. The administrator received an email last week complaining Steve on Yahoo. I will reiterate again that when our guys walk here, we run radar throughout the village. Sergeant Reed sat on Village Avenue for 2 hours on Wednesday to let Steve in the village. Generally, citizens, in my experience, overestimating how fast a vehicle is going. Not hard to do. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy to figure out how fast they're going, but we do run radar throughout the village. We are working with our traffic street department. Move the sign at Johnston Avenue, the one on the west side, over to Martin. And help us control speed traffic primarily, and that's all. We'll get that. Remember, they have that one is the solar multi, the other ones are bad. Pretty much all I have is.
Congrats on your official retirement from the state board. Well deserved.
All right, any questions for the marshal? Thank you again, sir. You too.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll move on to the fire chief's report. It's in your packet. I don't know if there's anything else that anybody has to add. Yep.
We get an initial push after the grant, so the impairment funding was approved by Oshkosh County. We did an initial push for paramedics. From that, we generated 3 applications. And it's you created, I think it's certainly one of them, is very interested. So we'll let that work its way through the process. And we will get one. So.
Excellent. Any comments on the fire chief's report? If not, then we're going to move on to Public Works and Wastewater Treatment Plant. Director Paulus.
Anybody have anything for me? There is 2 things that were added. First one was we are now an official e-recycle collector. Basically, it means we collect the electronics that they bring down, it goes in a box, when the box is full, I'll come to they come get it. As of right now, the cost to the village and for
And how long does that run for? That program?
our contract is for 3 years.
Excellent.
Where is that gonna be parked?
DPW garage, so it'll be open all next week while the bulk dumpsters are here. And after that, it will be basically while we're there, but I prefer by appointment. You know, so they're not just throwing TVs off down in the garage. Not like it ever happens, only one down there right now. So, I think we're one of 6 in the county that is e-recycle.
Excellent.
Second one is the baby dump truck. After months of looking and trying to find one that would fit into our needs and the budget. I did find one that was at the 10-year mark. It's often beyond what we had previously, but this one works. It's 4-wheel drive, diesel. Brad and I went and looked at it, test drove it, in 4-wheel drive, out of 4-wheel drive. Didn't hear nothing, didn't see nothing. 2 small dents. Was it the one on the hood and one on the fender? No rust. Frame was quoted, the truck box on the outside was quoted. This one had the sides and the back both pulled down. So if you turn it into a flatbed and or.
Awesome.
All 6 tires are brand new on.
Cool. And I believe that's on our agenda to take a look at later, right? Awesome. Cool.
How is the new pump doing over here?
Today was probably the official day, right? So, of course. Booster pump now, since it's due to fix. All does what the valve can do, so we've been running the reservoir dry. alarming. Once it kicks in, once the well catches up, then it runs again, so we're hoping to have it dialed in that they run together.
Excellent.
So then Michelle tried steering me today and asked if there was a water main break or something.
Had a phone call. It was spurred by a phone call from a resident.
Because we were messing with this morning, I turned it on, turned it on.
Nice. No problems yet, though, from what we've,
Well, so far, I'm pretty impressed.
I am too.
I would have to say that once finally everything went together, the process went a lot smoother because we could test everything in-house, so. Instead of running the port or sending it to Marshfield, we run our test in-house,
Excellent.
go from there.
So our connections now are all the same diameter, same ID?
No,
No?
no, we went from, there were 4-inch sections in there, 6-inch, now I think everything's 6-inch, right?
Yeah, it's a small section coming out of the booster pump. They reduce it down to a 4, but once it makes the elbow, everything's 6 inside the house.
All our deficiencies from our inspection that were in failure, are corrected. So our next inspection in 3 years. Should be no issue, everything was fixed.
Excellent. And the-
Did you get a gallonage on it yet? Did you get a gallonage on what it's pumping yet?
Now well, when it first started, we were at 500. So we put it down to about 410,
it's-
That's a lot more than we were pumping.
not yet,
No.
I think we're at just about 300, wasn't it?
We had 325, 318, something like that,
37.
317, yeah.
Awesome.
375.
Last question I have for you, the SCADA upgrade, how's that going? What's the,
They started fixing some of the things that were issues. One of them was the screen on the blowers went out. And instead of spending thousands to fix it, I can do it on the computer now, so when I want to switch them. Or Mike wants to switch them. Goes on a computer, changes it. So I'm not gonna spend thousands to fix that screen
Mhm.
out there. There was an alarm that we could get rid of, that's gone. Instead of the rotation of the wells. The well 2 during the week and well 1 on the weekend.
Or 9. So well 1 would run during the day, well 2 would run. Or sorry, well 2 would take care of it during the day, well 1 would run all night, and then well 1 would cover everything.
Now it's midnight and changes. So if today's well 2, tomorrow we do well 1. And then we have it on there that we could. Instead of going to each well and shot, we can do it on the computer. So if we only want well 2 tomorrow or all weekend, we can put on there specifically well 2.
Mhm.
So that's fixed up, and now we got the readings of the booster and the well. So if there is an issue, we can have to report the problem.
so the upgrades are happening and
It's
they're,
happening, it's not completed.
Yeah.
So it's happening. But the big one yet, I would assume in 2 weeks. He said he was 3 weeks out of stuff.
awesome.
How's the water testing going with the lab and
Good.
everything?
So what I have Mike do is. To ID everything, because we have the records Michelle for it.
Which records, Eric? 8, 6, 12?
12 years.
Yeah.
So for water, anything we test on water has to be kept for 12 years. So what I have them do is we start from the year first, the month, and then the second number. So I believe today was 2309, I think we said 11.
All right. Any other questions for our Director of Public Works? If not, we'll move on to the clerk's report. Thank you, Eric. Thanks, guys.
So we spent most of this week, working on the changes related to, the disbanding of the ARC Board and the Tech Committee. The website has been updated. Internal processes have been adjusted. Board members, inspectors, and applicants have been informed. The autumn newsletter is finished. And whoops, I'll send that out right tonight. Everybody has a copy of it at their desk. Thank you, Vanna.
You're welcome.
And thank you to everybody who contributed. And we have a couple election deadlines that are coming up, relating to poll worker, lists. So I'm working on finalizing that and continuing to actively recruit. And we have ordered our absentee ballot envelopes through the county, mostly subsidized by, the absentee ballot envelope grant that you guys approved, this summer.
Excellent. Any questions of our clerk?
Do you have the entire e-waste blurb on the website yet, or is that on the list?
So it went out, as a blurb in our news and announcements on Tuesday, I think we sent it, Eric, to all of our e-subscribers. It's on the news and announcements section, sticky noted to the top of the list, and it's also on Eric's page.
Okay.
So it's in a couple different places on the website.
That's
Oh,
got
and it's in the.
days and appointments and, you know.
Yeah, it gives residents exactly what they should do in order to drop things off. And the same with the bulk waste dumpsters, because I think next week is gonna be kind of busy for people dropping stuff off. So there's the e-recycling that's available for the first week, and then bulk waste dumpsters next week too.
She's gonna have to wrestle that and exercise.
Yeah.
At least you don't have to go far. Just drag it down the road. All right. Any questions of our clerk?
I hope it up behind the line there.
Okay, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. It is in your packet. Any questions, any comments on that?
Two quick things, huge thank you to the treasurer from Belgium, who came to visit us. Last week and worked, hands on, and what's that, really appreciated that. Of course, at the end of the meeting, we're like, oh no, that's not for our books. She heard us, like, no, 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 no. So again, just appreciate that partnership and, everybody doing that for. And, we did receive the remainder of our tax reconciliation, that always comes to August, so we received a full amount of money. And so we're now paid out with our tax budget for this year, ready to start 2021.
Excellent. All right. We will move on then to Ozaukee County District 2 Supervisor, Mr. Representative Haas.
Yep, so just going off of kind of last meeting, everyone's seen the paper, heard. You know, with the EMS funding, I'm glad we finally got that done, got that through. Sounds like the first checks are coming the first week of October, which is great. So I'm glad that was a huge accomplishment for the north end district, really. So, and now on to the next thing, which is this Losada campus. We'll see what goes into that, what comes out of it. So I'll get caught up to speed on that and can kind of update the board as we go along through that whole process. I don't have much to report on that right now. So yeah, as we go through it, I'll let you know.
Excellent. Well, thanks again for all of your work. Appreciate it. Everybody's work getting that done. It's huge for the north end of the county, and we'll see what happens from here. All right, we will now move on to items for discussion and action. The first one is a motion to approve Clerk Johnson's attendance to the UW Green Bay's Presidential Election Academy. Clerk Johnson. Right. Any discussion on that? All right, we'll take the vote. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That's always easy. Next, we have a motion to approve the change of title for Shelley Aliotto from AEMT to Assistant Deputy Chief of EMS for the Fredonia Fire Department. I was gonna have Brian talk on this a little bit, but Chris, if you want to fill us in, I guess, and just kind of give us the.
Probably can explain it as well.
Right.
The list is in her AEMT role, she's paid as an hourly employee. She still wishes to go on any sort of volunteer fire calls that might occur, which she is asking not get paid. So as an hourly employee who's still going on these calls and not getting paid, we are opening ourselves up to possible legal repercussions, because you very much going to come back to us and say, hey, you need to pay me back for those hours of work, right? So the ask and recommendation from the fire chief is to switch her from an hourly APOT to a salary assistant deputy chief of EMS. For dollar amounts that she gets paid, change, right, the benefits don't change. It's just that by moving from the hourly this title, the salary this title, you can now continue to monitor the fire calls without being obligated to get paid that extra amount. So in order to do that, the fire will be a retitle for the acquisition. That will be
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. Any other discussion?
I have a question. Does this fit into one of the categories that the county has lined up for their grant program and everything?
That is a good question. I don't know that answer, and we've thought about that too.
Mhm.
So in best case scenario, we're going to hire 3 paramedics, if we won't need that equivalent time. But we definitely are asking that question ourselves, because if it comes to April, right, we don't have 3 full-time paramedics. If this role now would be really within fulfilling that need, but honestly, that makes it the future on us. So I don't have the answer, but we've asked that.
So it's something that we can adjust in the future.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's the hope at least, right?
You
All
never
right,
know with the county.
we have a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion? I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, next we have a motion to approve a contract with Strand Associates for Innovation Drive, final design and bidding related services. Again, Chris, if you'd like to start this off, and then Isaac, I know is here from Strand, you can maybe talk a little bit on it as well.
Okay, so we have 2 contracts in front of you, I'll stick that in tandem, then you guys can talk about them. The first one is an addendum, it's a continuation of our business park contract. So they've been doing the design work for us, the grading work, all of that stuff. Now, this contract is added to it, saying, all right, now you completely engineering work to the plans, and then they'll assist us with that, doing our. Just so you guys know that I did my due diligence, we get a Strand about, hey, if you guys maybe don't do the RFP process, maybe do it in-house, how much savings we can get. It's very low, and then both of the work is get here and like that stuff. So we're finding Strand on all that stuff. So I think we would like to probably touch on what that timeline would look like as we were approving the first contract. The second contract, and we talk about kind of the drive, again, the same thing, it's the design work, the engineering, and the RFP for. We have the 3 priorities, obviously, we kind of get on that drive here, so it'll be their initial work, that's continuing that, and it's returned to, end of this year, beginning of next year, and that helps. I'm sure I can share this, that the industrial park is a little bigger project than the Highland Drive is, so both of their.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary, and I guess I can talk schedule if you guys are interested in that, or answering questions, or just have through scope and more detail if like, but maybe just start with the schedule. Business park, the goal is to bid everything by the end of January. Reason for that being that there's a smaller pool of contractors available that take on that scope of work. The idea is to get that out the door as quickly as possible before it was still level next year. So that's the number 1 priority. I guess just in terms of design timeline, like Chris mentioned before, we're planning on having a stakeholder meeting with interested private developers next week. I believe it's Thursday. 7th is. Following that, we plan to complete 50% design and we scheduled for around the end of October. 90% following Thanksgiving to December, and then finally to submit all the permits and everything like that right after 90% design. I just have permits back again before it can go out the bid at the end of January. We'll turn around time. It's about 6 weeks for most of the permits that are required for these projects. So that's kind of the overall schedule for the business park expansion. And then Highland Drive, we have a set schedule in mind that I think is submit that in March. There's quite a few broader pool of contractors that can do that type of extension. So bidding a little bit later in the year there's not an issue. They're still trying to figure out their schedule for the coming summer. So that's a little bit more priority, considerably smaller project. Scale this, that's why they're different, elements. Again, so you kind of stepping through, looking at the detailed scope items and kind of just explain everything. Yes, every portion of it, if you'd like in detail, if you have a specific question, we talk about that too.
I have one question. Are we planning on having the roads with all the infrastructure and everything in, but the road itself being gravel for the first year?
I believe the intent was to, as long as it fits with the contractor schedule, to try to get some of that paved on the road at the year. But I think that's something we're gonna have to cover during the design process. That's realistic. We'll probably have to have some conversation with the contractor to see if they think that's realistic or not. Providing the scale of the public setting and see if anything is realistic, given lead times of materials, not really required, that. But I think at minimum, the idea would be to do rough grading, be gravel road, and just, allow private developers to get in there and start building. I think the greater goal would be to get pavement on the road. Less site.
Base course anyway.
Sorry.
Base course anyway.
Correct, yeah, and at least get a binder on there, that first layer of asphalt, just like they did up along the streets. So let's get to that phase, to the only goal, but minimum, have a contractor. Just get to the point where you can access the site and start.
Yeah, usually in a subdivision where you're building homes and stuff, by the time you get done running big trucks in and out and over the curb and gutter and whatever, that's healed for a month or so, maybe longer. This is gonna be almost immediate with some of our tenants that are gonna wanna start building right away. And I'm kind of leery about running heavy equipment and loads of stuff and everything over freshly poured concrete.
Sure. I think that's a fair concern.
And we don't know where to put the bricks, really. I mean, we could leave an 18-foot break in the concrete, and then they build everything in, and we pour it later. But we don't know where that is yet, so
Yeah.
we should just keep that
Well,
all.
they have their designs for approaches and stuff like that, right?
I mean, I think that's part of this
Yeah.
open house meeting next week, is to try to gather some information and plan for it. So that we contractors kind of replace curving butter pathway project, because the private developers have been running it now. So there's, I guess, maybe the bigger challenge of the project, to manage all the coordination between the buildings contractor and the overall site work, and development contractors as well. So I think we'll have more insight on how best to handle that at the meeting next week. Open an area to come to the table and say, hey, we'd like to, generally put our driveway here, making just general limits. That's something I think we need to incorporate in the design. But there are quite a few question marks, and it's something we can consider, problems, those milestones, and so some private elements on gutter and I think at a minimum, a lot of developments I've seen, the goal is to get curb and pavement on the road. It's a lot on that surface layer. So basically, let's have it at the same stage as the block of the street. The recent neighbors did that, and it's that way. And if there are issues with the pavements, and for curb and gutter, it's quite a bit easier to one identify and fix. Get over that way to the curb and gutter. Only a binder layer, you're pulling out sections. Quite a bit easier to make it all continuous and nice. If you have your surface layer down and trying to patch everything in. So there's some tricks that we can incorporate throughout this night to try to manage that.
And I think as we get further on into the design process, we'll be able to figure those things out and where we can and can't stop. And I think we should have a good idea also of what's going to be happening in 2024 as far as builds and things like that go. We've got, we should, after this meeting with the different private contractors, we should really have a good idea of what's going to happen. So. Are there any detailed questions for Isaac at all, or anything that anybody would like to ask him before we consider this?
Happy to step through if you'd like to. or anybody quite like Steve.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this to take a look at for a couple days, so.
I moved to have, Strand, be the contractor for the final design. Innovation Drive expansion.
All right, I have a motion and I have a second. Any other questions? All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have a motion to approve contract with Strand for Highland Drive reconstruction design and bidding related services. So as Chris and Isaac both talked about, this is obviously a little bit lesser of a project than expanding Innovation Drive and doing the whole business park build up, but still something that we have looked at and we have proposed to do within our 2024 budget. Any questions of either of them?
I got one.
Yeah.
I think we should seriously look at if it is necessary to do any major work between Regal and Fredonia Avenue. Because that's been worked on quite a bit for the last number of years. We've done overlays on that a lot. There's a lot of, I don't believe there's any pipe work or anything under that we're having problems with. If we could take that footage off the project, but save ourselves a ton of money.
Can we look at that beforehand too?
We
I feel like we-
did, I believe. I don't remember that. The main reason is because the size of the utility lines have changed when you go past Regal. So if you're gonna replace the utility line to make it, annual larger quantities, then you might as well take it away. I don't know, Eric, do you remember that conversation?
So the pipe from McDonald's to the intersection of Regal is the orange pipe, and it's basically just like a sanitary ladder, so it drops in, comes over and drops in again, which is called clay, which in the intersection of Regal and Highland is falling apart. So we did work on that this summer, but it's a lot of it's falling apart. And I believe Fredonia Ave is a 10-inch water main. If the map is correct, I believe it goes to an 8-inch. On Highland to Regal, then it's a 6-inch. And if you guys remember that intersection blew apart on Regal and Highland a couple years ago. And I think that's one of the reasons why the catch basin was collapsing, because the water was washing everything out and going right in. So we figured it'd be easier to tie in right to the new 10-inch main and run 10-inch all the way down. Also, because of how the water system is laid out, Fredonia Ave is 10-inch. Anything that runs up into the subdivisions was previously going through the 10-inch down to the 6-inch over to an 8-inch. And then if anything had to come through Highland, it was all 6-inch. So whenever there was a fire or a hammer in the system, it blew the 6-inch out. So because that is being fed by a 10-inch, right to an 8 or a 10, hopefully we can help eliminate that. And because Martin over 57 is a 12-inch. And if that ever takes off on that side of 57, if we don't have enough water to feed it, then tell Strand right now, with designing well in the top over there, because we're gonna have issues left and right.
Well, that was meant to be a feeder with the new well. But it's at 57, so. But going the other direction, yeah, that could cause us a lot of problems.
So I guess, Don, your question would be, we have to go from Regal to Fredonia, right? I guess you can stop that, assuming nothing hooks in, because the sewer dead ends by McDonald's and then sewer dead ends by Dollar General. Dollar General goes to the west, McDonald's goes to the north.
So nothing's connected or looped there, so if anything would ever go anywhere else. You have a sewer system that outdated, old, unavailable. And we are not able to clean that section there because of the drop.
Hmm. Right.
Well, that was good information. Thanks for asking the question.
You're only,
All right, any other questions on this? You know, I think too, with the way we're gonna have increased pressure with the water and everything too, it just kind of makes. I don't know, I think it makes sense that we're just opening this up, making the lines bigger so that it can feed everything everywhere, going from 10 inches to 8 inches to 6 inches, just creates bottlenecks, especially with the new booster pump and everything with that, from that well, so. I think it makes sense personally, but. All right, do we have a motion?
Not yet.
Okay, now we do. So I have a motion,
I'll second.
and we have a second. All right, I will call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we have discussion and possible action on audit and bookkeeping agreement with Baker Tilly. Administrator Jenkins, I will pass this off to you.
Doesn't matter, you have pay out if you'd like.
We just got a lot of stuff on the agenda, so.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know we were signing them tonight. Okay, Dan,
I'm gonna bring back a lot.
yes, absolutely.
But go ahead, Mo.
Okay, sure.
So Dan, you're here.
So, for you, I would like to, at least discuss a little bit our contract with Baker Tilly. Baker Tilly is our auditor, they've been the auditor.
We're signing two copies of it.
Recent future.
We're signing a couple of them.
The fact number is the village, part of our finances. If you look at it in the packet, you're currently in the middle of a contract, I believe you guys will figure out a year or so ago. 3-year agreement. You see on the 4-year your packet, how it's broken down, into fiscal years, and it costs what once the funds. In addition to these costs, we've been recent, advancement changes that I want to talk about. And on top of all of that, there have been, many times whenever we would ask for assistance, to a phone call, things like that, obviously hourly charges that the auditor would charge as well.
Having a hard time doing two things at once or what?
It's not right.
And we got a stick going.
Let's make sure.
So what's came about is we went through the latest audit process, the second audit process with Wendy Lindbergh, who is our bookkeeper, our certain auditor, for what's that, the first one with me. We honestly, it's the newer system to me, it's newer for Melissa, we asked a lot of questions, asked for a lot of information. And I mean, to be frank, we struggled to get clear answers out of the auditor. Sometimes her tone maybe isn't the best. And at the end of the day, you know, we need our auditor to be a teacher for us, and not somebody who is not planned. So we talked about her many times, when it's helpful, but there's definitely a disconnect in the communication that we have with her. So really the reason why we're bringing it to you is because I would recommend that maybe start to have a conversation with our auditors, we either just get maybe a different track. Maybe that's the difference, we can say that they're doing as a whole, or maybe that would be a better fit for our team. Or we look for the way to get out of the contract and move into the model. Cost wise, Baker Tilly is a large international firm, right? Their costs are generally higher than getting certain level of professional investment. But one can argue, we're a village of 2,500 people. We have checks and balances in the village that we have for. Maybe we don't need as high a level of audits for auditor as we had in the past. There are definitely some companies, individuals, LLC, right? We do auditing, at various levels, we could explore those options. But anyway, again, it's not within my right to just end a contract, so I wouldn't have that conversation with you guys.
I know one of the concerns that we had was going back to last year as well, and I know people were busy from different things and whatnot, but if you remember right, we didn't have our audit review until I want to say it was almost August. You know, and it was right before our budget was going in, and that was brutal because we didn't know where we were ending up. I like Wendy as a person, you know, I've talked to her many times. I just I think about our treasurer and, you know, her needs, and people work better with different people, you know, depending on who you are and depending on who your needs are. She's a great person. But I guess, you know, as far as that goes, I'd say if there are issues, or not necessarily issues, but miscommunications, things like that. I know she's been hard to get a hold of. She hasn't gotten back to us a lot. She can be kind of MIA sometimes, and maybe it's at least worth thinking about looking at something and seeing what could be. You hate to upset a train that's worked forever, but at the same time, I'm always of the philosophy that it's always good to look around and see and make sure that you're getting the most for your money. So my comment on it. Anybody else have an opinion?
I think it's worthwhile, I mean, to maybe look at potentially getting a different rep. I definitely am not in favor of breaking a contract at this point. I think that'd be more hassle than it would be good. I'm okay with potentially looking into somewhere else, but I do think we do need some oversight. That I will agree with.
Yeah, for sure.
What level, I'm not exactly sure yet, but I think my step would be if this is not working out with Wendy, then I think we go with someone else, and then we kind of keep exploring it from there. I don't think we jump the gun of cutting a contract with them until we've either done some further investigation, but I mean, outside of that, I think they do a great job of giving us information that we need before we go to budget. So I would go down the easiest path right now to maybe solve our problem would be to find someone else that might be a better fit within Baker Tilly.
I mean, there's got to be. And again, Wendy's great. She's a wealth of knowledge. If, you know, if it doesn't work with whoever is in the office, so just, you know, it is what it is. No hard feelings that way.
Yeah, Wendy is a principal in that part of the company. I forget what was who she worked with before they went with Baker Tilly. I don't recall what the name was. Anyhow,
Come on, Jill.
there is likely to be someone in Baker Tilly's organization that Wendy could recommend that is lower down in the wage structure and still be able to handle the things that we have. I like being with that organization. They have a reputation that transcends the IRS. And unless you're doing something obviously wrong, generally you don't get audited, you don't get messed with. They just take the numbers and thank you, whatever, for those types of organizations. So that's valuable in itself. You know, to start out with somebody new, we might be able to get a good look on our auditing and stuff like that. But we would be sacrificing things by doing that. So we've got what, like a year and a half, 2 years or something like that, this contract. We can keep that in mind. You can have discussions with Wendy and things of that nature. There's probably I don't know how much longer she's gonna be doing it, coming out and this and that and whatever. She's probably getting ready to retire soon in the first place, so. I wouldn't rush. I'm with Josh on this. I wouldn't rush on this, but I wouldn't leave it sit. I would investigate.
Have a good feedback, and happy to move that direction.
Cool. I don't think there's any more sort of action that needs to be taken on that then. All right. Well, we'll move on then to the next item, which is going to be discussion and possible action on village legal representation. We've had this conversation in the past as well. There have been certain instances where things have come up that we needed some legal counsel on. And it seems like every time we need that legal counsel, it's always that's a conflict of interest. We can't help you with this. You know, we've maybe represented somebody else in a case. Hausman and Fine is a great company. I know a bunch of municipalities use them. I think that's half the issue. I think that they are representing people everywhere in this county. You know, if we're gonna hire somebody as our village attorney, I want to know that when I call them, they can represent us. And I feel like that may have been an issue a couple times. It certainly has been since I've been president and chairman up here. So I'm hoping that we could maybe consider taking a look around, and see what's out there for us. I know we had to do that earlier this year. I know we never, you know, settled on something. I think it's a good idea for us to at least have the conversation and take a look around.
I would agree with that. I think it's time to take a look. We've had nothing but headaches here this year and in the past couple of years. With the current firm that we've had, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it with some of the situations we've had to deal with. So I agree. I think it's time if they don't want to be our customer, then we'll go shopping somewhere else.
Yeah, I think we have West Bend to the west, we have Sheboygan, we have North Milwaukee and whatever. It's not like we have, we're out in the boonies someplace and we only have this handful of people. We can get some real talent from one of the larger cities that likely didn't have much doing with anybody in our area.
Any other discussion on that?
So you make a motion on any action on that?
No, so the village attorney is just appointed by the board. So you guys, you're free will, right? You're unappointed, appointed. So it's time to come to conversation, with the recognize and they will list for options. We'll be sure to get a recommendation for you guys.
All right,
Sounds good.
excellent. Thank you, everybody. All right, next is a motion to approve ordinance 2023-9 pertaining to the allowable setbacks of accessory structures. This again came from the planning commission and was recommended by the planning commission to adopt at the village board level. And this is, I'm sorry, I was scrolling. This changes it to be that the setbacks should be not closer than 5 feet to the principal structure or 3 feet on the lot line, which keeps it as being not to exceed 15 feet in height or 20% of the rear yard.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-9.
A second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? No, we'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we have discussion and possible recommendation to the Joint Review Board for the Citizen Representative. And we have candidate Jessica Frank. Her resume is attached to this, and I will have Administrator Jenkins, I guess, summarize again this candidate.
Sure, so it's coming back before you, we would ask, the president and I to, explore options. We quoted some names, call some people, and came to a consensus that, this will be a candidate for this position. We can explain the roles and responsibilities of the JRB, understand the role, we read their resume, background as an estimator, that they be valuable, and also brings to serve your economic development subcommittee as from a forward for its policy. That's the best interest here in the community. That should be a good number.
And again, just so that we're clear on this, we're not approving or appointing anybody. We would just be recommending to the Joint Review Board for them to take action and put a different citizen member on the board.
well, I think Jessica would be a great candidate for that. And seeing that we're just requesting that the board consider putting her in that position. I see there's no harm in that. They can say, I don't know, that's it. So I would move that we recommend that change to the board. Recommend to the board that they consider that change.
There it is. All right, any other? I have a motion on that. Any other discussion?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, then I'm gonna call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, I need a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to state statute 19.85.
Don't you miss the dump truck?
You guys do-
Oh, I do not have the updated agenda in front of me. Eric's like, what?
Or you don't. We just-
Oh, my goodness. Here, actually, keep this is on. Okay, next we have a motion to approve offer to purchase on 2013 GMC 35 dump truck. And outfitting expenses for an amount not to exceed 30 grand. We did hear a little bit from Eric on this. Do you want to just give us the background again about the county truck and all that stuff real quick?
So when I was talking to the county, they said there's
Sorry.
trucks, available. Normally, they would either give them to another department within the county. Or they would send it to auction, and I asked if it would go, before it go to auction, if we could. Be able to purchase it. The trucks they were getting rid of were in good shape, that's why I was wanting one of those. Parks originally said they would take one and not the other one, and they turned around and took both. Which, that's why it's there. So that leaves us with no county truck. In return, I've been looking online between private dealerships, other municipalities, and auction site, and I didn't want to go back to a 25-30-year-old truck, and I honestly didn't want to. We found a private guy, he does have a business. It's out in the county hospital. It's out there. Yeah, he said he used it twice. He bought it from a place up in Fond du Lac. There was a salesman delivery guy that just drove around and delivered pallets.
That's the kind of-
Never used it. So this is the one I found. I thought this one fit within the price that we had available for it. And it wasn't collector plates on.
So if we approve this, can you promise to stay within the parameters of the approval of this?
We will stay within.
Three parents said the same thing.
That's a good question.
It is.
The truck is white. The guys seem to like white. I'm not sure if we're switching to whites. But obviously, I'm not gonna go and pay for a certain color to be able to buy.
I have a question on that. I know that we are. I know that we've been talking about decaling and stuff like that, logos and stuff. Are we gonna do that on our trucks, or are we just gonna buy stickers and throw them on the side, or what are we thinking?
Well, we're not gonna wrap them, that's too expensive.
Well,
So we have, Webster Premier Promotions that has designed a magnet to put on a truck. Fortunately, the magnet that I ordered for the white one was a little too big, so it kind of went over the flap, which started to come down. It does fit on the dump trucks, so.
Okay.
But yes, I would put one on there to know that it is a.
I just know that at some point, someday we're gonna start running into issues of aluminum bodies, and that's not gonna work anymore. So we'll have to be mindful of that whenever we buy a truck that's less than 15 years old or whatever it is.
The sun eats those magnets up anything.
Yeah.
They only last for
You're gonna
10,
plow
12
with
years.
this, right?
Something to consider.
You're gonna plow with that, right?
No,
Not at all. So you only have the big truck and then the
we
little.
have 2 plow trucks, the loader, and then we have 3 pickups that I plow.
This looks like Jenny Richter's old truck.
This one don't have all the dents and grounds.
Does, are you planning on eventually setting this up with a top?
No,
Okay, I mean, it's not really big and bully enough for roads, and it's probably too big for sidewalk,
right.
but it's a useful truck. You gotta go pick things up or whatever.
I concur.
And got $4,000 for the old one, you told them that, right?
Yeah, I think that's what that one auctions, and I don't even remember who bought it.
Where it got from.
It was, some rental place in down the falls.
We don't have any like 1940s diesel trucks or anything, do we? I said that they could, possible do a trade.
A new truck. For this, if I order this from the dealer, you're over 80,000.
Yeah.
Well, contractors do this all the time.
Yep.
They'll look around for a good used truck and they'll buy a used truck and they'll run that thing for 15 years. Why should we pay all that depreciation, get new stuff all the time, when we can get serviceable equipment? And so this lasts us maybe only 8, 9 years, something like that, with rough use, maybe longer. We got our money out of it. It's, you know, I will make a motion to purchase a vehicle. For not to exceed $30,000.
It's key there.
And it's in your replacement budget. I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other comment? If not, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now I need a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Do a roll call, start on this end. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are in closed session. Get out of here. Have a good one.
Yep, too.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
I'm gonna stop recording, right?
I'm gonna grab Josie.
Okay. All right, we are back in open session. Do we have any correspondence? I don't believe.
No.
We do? All right, no correspondence. Items for future consideration. Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 8:10. Not too bad, y'all.
Cause I wasn't saying nothing.
You got somewhere to be, Bruce, or what?
So they got pickled,
What do you have?
beans to eat and just.
Oh, yeah? Oh, were you gonna update us with this, or is it just for a fun?
Bring it on.
No, I keep getting to bring it
Oh,
along.
Steve,
Finally, we can-
remember when I did one? You couldn't even find it. Pork chop. Yeah.
Do you need pork chop?
She's like, I got them.
Do you need some?
Ball, yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know what they're ball. I have to look, but.
no, I mean half ball. No. I would like some spirit. Or, your kid, they took on, you know.
Yeah, my wife came in.
Oh,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.